This week on the PowerPLAY Show, it's the holiday season, and whether you celebrate Christmas, Hannukah, or Kwanza, there's always room for that special something for that special someone. So if you're looking for some last-minute gift ideas, tune in as we celebrate small businesses. Coming up next on the PowerPLAY Show.
From the studios at Hull Bay Productions, this is Season 4 of the PowerPLAY Show.
Welcome to the PowerPLAY Show. I'm Tonya McGrath, along with my co-host, Kimberly Perez. If you're looking at your calendar, there's just a few more days to finish up any last-minute shopping. And we have some great ideas for anyone on your list, whether they're naughty or nice. We are celebrating small businesses today. Each year since 2011, the United States Small Business Administration, or SBA, has celebrated Small Business Saturday, a day to celebrate and support small businesses and all they do for their communities. Small Business Saturday typically follows the more marketed Black Friday, but as a small company, I encourage you to think about small businesses all year round. And with that, we have two small business owners here to talk about some gift ideas for you or friends and family. And we have one other thing in common. First, Maureen Barilaro is the owner of Dream House, a gallery and boutique in Rockport, Massachusetts, and the founder and designer of I Love My Nightie, a collection of luxuriously soft, eco-friendly, made in USA nightgowns and loungewear, designed to help you dream lovelier and focus on beauty, sleep, and sold exclusively on her website at Dream House. And Beth Kirsch, owner of Beth's Chocolate, a chocolatier. Beth's artisan chocolates have won several awards and are made with high-quality French chocolate and fresh ingredients. Maureen and Beth, welcome to the PowerPLAY Show.
Thanks. Nice to be here.
So, proving that there's life after WGBH, because we are all former WGBH alum. Starting with you, Mo, I know that you got into this pretty soon after you left WGBH, because I remember hearing about it a while ago. But talk to me about Dream House and what it is you're doing up there in Rockport.
Okay, well, thank you very much for having me on your show, and congratulations on your next steps after WGBH. And as much as I absolutely loved GBH, I'm a video editor primarily my whole career. I think one of the things that happened was just getting tired of sitting at a computer all the time and thinking of the future and thinking, there's more to life than clicking away on a keyboard and mouse. So I need to get out there. I need to be around people, need to be able to get up off of my chair and move around. Really, before Dream House, it really started with the clothing line, I Love My Nightie. And I just have a love of nightgowns, especially the classic vintage nightgowns. And but when you get to this time of year and being from New England and living here and thinking about wearing those cute little slinky nightgowns, it's like, no, you have to put those away. And then what's left? It's what I call the frump slump. So it's like sweatpants and oversized t-shirts and that's just not me. I wanted to look cute even though I was cold and I didn't want to be all bundled up. So when I thought about what I wanted to wear, I had a vision of what that looked like. But when I went looking for it, I couldn't find it. And so I decided to figure out how to make them for myself. And I have zero background in clothing design, clothing making, anything. But so I signed up for a sewing class and I found a pattern for the thing that was close enough to what I wanted, and started making them. And then I just wanted more. Once I had one, I thought of this one and that one, and it just kept kind of becoming something that I really wanted to surround myself in and have access to. So I just kind of did some soul searching and came up with the conclusion that I could try. And yeah, it took many steps, many years of figuring it out, but eventually I did launch I Love My Nightie.
Now that's usually how it starts, right? You have an idea, there's something that you want and you can't find it.
Right, exactly, and that's exactly what happened.
I remember you saying you wanted to be able to get out of bed, run to the store, and not have to look frumpy, right? You want to be able to go to like 7-Eleven and grab something and not have to change your clothes.
Yeah, and I know it's very popular to wear your pajamas out.
Exactly.
That is not me, but yeah, typically what I was wearing at home, if somebody knocked on the door, I would have ran to the room and changed before answering the door. I would have never opened the door, letting somebody see what I was wearing to be comfortable around the house. So, but not anymore.
Yes, and I do see a lot of people wearing their pajama bottoms and stuff to the store. So I get it.
Yes.
And so, Beth, you took another kind of leap, if you will, from children's television producer to chocolatier, which is such a wonderfully, I love that title. I wish I could use it. But talk to me about that leap. How did you get into chocolates and making chocolates?
Yeah, it wasn't something that I planned, but even when I worked at GBH and I used to walk between the two buildings on Western Ave and go through the scene shop, I thought, that looks like so much fun to just make scenery. And not something I ever had the talent for, but there's just the idea of doing something with my hands and doing something physical, kind of like Mo said, not being at the computer all the time or, in the studio, just really physically doing something. But I had no plan for it. GBH was my universe for so long. And when you're in that universe, you're just in that space. But when you leave, you realize there are a lot of different universes out there. And I kind of fell into a different universe kind of by serendipity. I had bought I'd been in Paris and I went into this really amazing kitchen store and they had all these different molds for making chocolate. And they made these mini Eiffel Towers. And I thought, well, that'll be fun. But I had no idea how to do it, and I don't speak French very well, and I tried to ask the person there, and I got some sense of the instructions, but not really. So I went, I bought some chocolate, I melted in the microwave, I poured it in the mold, put it in the refrigerator, and it wouldn't come out. And I didn't understand, what was going on. And when I finally just whacked this mold up, I got just all these pieces and they tasted awful. And I'm like, how did I turn decent chocolate into something that tastes grainy and disgusting? So I read a little bit and then I decided, like Mo, to take a class in chocolate and to learn what was I doing wrong and what do you need to do. I just thought it'd be a fun Saturday afternoon. There was a 3-hour class in the South End. So I took the class and I was just enthralled. I really enjoyed it. I learned, a lot just even in that 3 hours. So then I just spent a lot of time at home just making things. I always liked to bake with chocolate and I always ate a lot of chocolate, but I never had a desire to own a business making chocolates. So I just experimented a lot at home and I really enjoyed doing that. And I was still working consulting in children's television and other media. And then I had a project that was wrapping up with PBS. And so I had some free time one fall and I reached out to the EH Chocolatier, which used to be in Somerville and then was in Cambridge. And now they've shut down this past year, to see whether I could be an intern there. We always hired interns at GBH. So I thought, well, I'll be an intern. So I interned there. I worked 2 days a week from October through December. And I just it was such an awakening to be in a commercial kitchen and to be surrounded by people who loved chocolate as much as I did and, knew all these, different tricks of the trade of how to get things done and how to make things. And I loved it. So after that, I took a class, 3-month class. And then a year later, I actually trained at Valrhona in France for a week, which was terrifying. I mean, it was like the classic French chef, you make something and he just says, you just ruined that. But if you did something good, he would tell you. But I learned a lot in that. So then at some point, I was still just doing my other work and making chocolates for fun. And I kind of had to decide, is this just a hobby run amok, or am I going to make this a business? And I just felt I really wanted to make it a business because I wanted to keep learning and to keep making more flavors and more types. And I could eat a lot of chocolate, but I wanted to make even more than I could eat.
How did you go from just getting a mold to just really wanting to make chocolates? I just don't.
Well, it's funny because I've dabbled in a lot of little crafty things, knitting and other stuff, and none of them really took, and none of them I ever got really good at. But for some reason with the chocolate, and I used to bake a lot, but the chocolate was much more fun for me because with baking, you really have to understand the chemistry. You do with chocolate too, but baking is very precise. Chocolate, once you learn the basics of making chocolate, and in some ways I'm hampered by not having gone to pastry school and all those other things, but in other ways it's liberating because I don't have all these rules in my head, but it has to work. So for me, it was a lot of trial and error in that way. But it was something that I really enjoyed doing, and I was actually good at it. And then it was fun because when you give something to someone that you've just made and you see this dreamy expression come over their face, it's very rewarding. You make TV, you're not seeing the audience. You're making it for the audience. You're not seeing them swoon over what you've done. So it just kind of kept reinforcing the fun, and also there was so much to learn. And it was fun being back again on the early learning phase of something that I was doing, and knowing that I could just keep improving and keep learning more and keep trying new things.
So it was something that you found that you were good at and you kept doing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I love this whole idea of reinventing yourselves. I just absolutely love that because, and I think, the pandemic obviously had forced people to have to do that in certain ways, but, you had already established this prior to the pandemic. So, but I'm just very excited about the whole reinventing because I'm one of those as well. But this is going to sound like an ignorant question, Beth, and I apologize, but is there good chocolate and bad chocolate? Like, to me, it's just like, I'm not as a high-end connoisseur, so but I imagine that there are certain things that people should kind of look out for if they want to gift some very good chocolate.
Definitely. And before I got into this, it's like chocolate was chocolate. There was milk, dark and white, which is chocolate or is not chocolate, right? Is the question. So I really had no idea. And but the more I got into it and the more I learned, it's so complex. And I mean, you can look at it just broadly. Dark chocolate is in general better for you than milk chocolate because it has less sugar and it doesn't have milk powder. And so you're getting more of the actual chocolate from the cacao beans, which have a lot of antioxidants and flavonols and all kinds of good things that are really good for you. So the more you dilute that with milk and sugar and other ingredients, caramel and nuts, you take away some of those effects. But it's even much bigger than that. And one of the favorite things that I learned going down this journey is that chocolate is a fruit, which had never really occurred to me. So it actually, this is the fruit.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Odd. They come in all different sizes, shapes, colors, but they're about like this. So it grows on a tree, just like apples or other kinds of fruit. They ripen at all different times. And when they ripen and they're picked, they're cut open with a machete. And then inside is this seed pod that's covered in, it's almost like the texture of Greek yogurt. That's the fruity part. And it's the seeds that you use to make the cacao, to make chocolate. So unlike most fruits where you eat the fruity part and throw away the seeds, except for pomegranate, I was realizing the other day, you use these beans, they're called beans, cacao beans, to make chocolate. So like anything else, tomatoes, strawberries, when you grow your own tomatoes versus when you buy some tomatoes in the store, there's a big difference in flavor.
Mm-hmm.
And so how the cacao beans are grown, it's really an agricultural product. So are they grown under the best conditions? And what is the genetic profile of those beans? Because there's a lot of different genetic profiles from, they grow 20 degrees north and south of the equator. So the beans that you're going to get in the tropical rainforest of Peru are going to taste different than the ones that you might get from Mexico or even from the next farm over. So some of them, depending on how you've grown them, how you ferment them, how long you fermented them, how they've dried, how long you roast them, and what temperature you roast, it completely changes the taste of the cacao bean. And so you could have 10 different chocolatiers or chocolate makers who make chocolates from the bean with the same batch of chocolates, and the bar they make will all taste different. And it depends on the ingredients they add. And then if you look at, so there's high quality chocolate, right, which is made from really high quality beans, and the whole process is a whole high quality process. And then you have, I've seen boxes of chocolates at Staples and, Walgreens and CVS. If you look at the ingredients, sometimes there's not even chocolate in it. It's like cocoa powder, there could be hydrogenated vegetable oils and some chemical ingredients that are also used in like windshield wiper fluid and stuff. So I encourage people to really look at the ingredients. A lot of people think, 70%, 85%. It's not about the percentage. It's really about the quality of the beans and whoever made the chocolate from the beans, which is, a whole other area of expertise. And also just, the whole process of where that cacao came from and what aspects in that environment created the flavors of that chocolate.
That was a whole master class in itself. Thank you for that demonstration. Mo, I wanted to get back to you for a second because I love this idea of luxuriously soft, eco-friendly nightgowns. I could take a nap right now anyway, but talk to me why that was so important to you to make something that was so ecologically conscious.
So another sort of passion that I had outside of my work at GBH and my career was, or is, and has been for many years in environmental issues. And I've spent a lot of time educating myself about the issues that we have, that we're all facing. And often you'll see that the second most polluting industry out there behind the oil and gas industry is textiles. And so, and of course, we're absolutely, we're literally surrounded by textiles. There was an interview I did while working on Open Studio with Jared Bowen at GBH, and we interviewed somebody who was into the history of textiles, and she made the reference of there's almost no time in our lives that our skin isn't touching textiles. Aside from maybe standing in the shower, but the first thing you do is grab a towel. If you're going to bed, even if you're sleeping with nothing on, you've got a blanket, you've got sheets, you've got a mattress. We're just, almost 100% of the time. And what's on your skin matters. And there's a lot, it's all the things that Beth was saying. I'm fascinated with your story, Beth, because it's so similar, even though we're doing these two different things, but our, adventure to where we are right now is so similar. And, like what you were saying, the ingredients really matter for the product. It's the same thing with clothing and the, ingredients of the fabric, the fiber itself. It matters not only for how it feels, but how it's affecting the environment, everything from where it begins to where it ends up, the whole circle, life cycle. So, I just thought that was important. And, when I go back to my vintage 90s that I love, those fabrics are horrible. I mean, they're the nylons. It's, it's polyester. It's not comfortable on your skin. I mean, it looks sweet. It's got lace. It's got buttons. It's got all kinds of accents, but those things are scratching. And if you imagine like sleeping with that against your skin, just sweating, that they don't breathe. So to really, I call it taking back the nightie. So reinventing the nightie for the modern woman. So it's like, the silhouettes, the styles that feel more modern and more what a woman would want to wear. But also, it's more comfortable. It's better to sleep in. It's more healthy. So I wanted, natural fabrics, and what I mostly use, my signature fabric is Tencel. Tencel is a name brand for a fiber. It's a company from Austria. It's a tree-based fiber. So if you think of cotton or bamboo or hemp, these are all come from plants. Tencel is the plant base is trees, and they're from Austria, and so their principle as a company is to reduce the environmental impact of fiber production. So that's everything from the growth of the trees, the harvesting of the trees, the physical plant where the manufacturing is happening, that's a green building. And then it's also very, very chemical intensive process. So they're looking at how you can reduce the chemicals, make the chemicals cleaner, reuse the chemicals. And then also one of their signature characteristics of their fiber is this luxurious softness. So if you think of cotton, and it has that nice, it's very comforting. But Tencel is, twice as soft as cotton, and it just has this beautiful drape. So it's really wonderful when you think of comfort wear, sleep wear, lounge wear, and especially when you're kind of accentuating the women's, our figures and everything, you want it to like fit nicely and look beautiful, and it does.
I'm so tired.
I love that, and I'm learning so much from the both of you, just in terms of how you are using our earth and understanding what it takes to help not just make your products, but also to, in some ways, sustainability, right? In terms of how it is that you're using these ingredients. So in terms of the 90s, and I'm so interested in looking at this because, I think for a lot of women, well, I'll just put myself in that category. I grab one of my husband's t-shirts and call it a day, right? And it like falls off of you and you get tangled out of it at night. So, talk about how you, as environmentally friendly as these nightgowns are, how you're using them to, as you said briefly, about accentuating, a woman's desire to want to be sexy.
Yes. Yeah. Like when I look again, I go back to the vintage 90s, and they were pretty, and it didn't matter that it was something you slept in or, just wore around the house. They were designed to be lovely, and that's just how I felt. I wanted to be, we all spend time, on ourselves, looking, our hair, our makeup, our nails, our, going to the gym and eating, healthy and taking care of ourselves. And you present yourself, to the world in that way. And then we would go home and look like crap. And just like throw all of that away. And it's like suddenly, it doesn't matter. I don't have to look good anymore. And certainly you don't, but there's something about that feeling good. And especially if you do have a companion at home, and most of our companions don't care what we look like. I know my husband, like you said, he'll love me in a t-shirt. He'll love me in anything. I mean, I don't have to impress him. That part's already done.
Yeah.
It's not like not me. And it's like, I don't want to, be in that frump slump, because it's a mindset too. And the kind of the flip side of this sort of frump slump, where it's like, that becomes your mindset. It's like, like, I'm dressed in these clothes, sure, they're comfortable, but maybe it, affects your mindset. The other way that the pendulum has swung is active wear. And so, women are wearing active wear, and it feels good because you can go all day and you can be in these clothes and you can jump around at different situations and get everything done and feel powerful. And then now what we have is an epidemic and really a crisis of people not getting enough sleep. And so when you're wearing active wear, when do you know when to stop being active?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
You need a signal to remind yourself it's time to stop. It's time to focus on sleep. It's time to focus on self-care. And having clothes that you wear that signal this transition from day to night, or, whether you're wearing them, just at night or however and whenever you're wearing them, but that you're signaling to yourself that I need to slow down. I need to focus on my beauty sleep. I need to rest. And I can look good doing it.
Yeah. So, Beth, in addition to selling chocolates, you also offer classes yourself, and you have events and you have a blog. I started reading some of your blogs and then got very, very hungry again. But talk about the other things that you're doing with your business.
Well, even when I started my business, I thought it'd be fun to do events and classes, because I love that 3-hour class in the South End. I just thought it was so much fun. And as someone who, again, didn't train professionally as a pastry chef before getting into chocolate, which is how most people come by it, I'm a home cook to start. So I thought it'd be fun to offer people an opportunity to come and make chocolates, which sounds so daunting. And people feel very unsure of themselves in the kitchen. And I said, there's very few mistakes you can make, because at the end of the day, you're going to go home with chocolate that's going to taste good and it's going to look good. And people come to the classes really happy and excited, and they leave even happier and more excited about the windfall of chocolates that they made that they're bringing home. And, there are some things that, obviously I've been training for years, but there's some things that are basic about chocolate that you can make some really good things. You can make truffles, you can make bars, you can make a whole range of things, make bark, that are really tasty. And so the classes vary from, if someone really wants to learn some of the more technical skills, then I can gear the class to that. But if they really just want to spend an afternoon having fun, making things with chocolate and coming home with the bounty of chocolate, then I cater the classes to what people are most interested in. And I also do a lot of events. So sometimes it's bringing my chocolates and people come and buy them, kind of like a pop-up shop. Sometimes it's leading people through a tasting of chocolates, whether it's different craft chocolate bars made with cacao beans from different parts of the world, and helping people learn a bit about chocolate. Or they might taste a 6-piece box of my bonbons, and I'll lead them through the different flavors and what inspired them, and just having people taste chocolate more mindfully. And again, those events can range. I did a truffle making class actually at the library right near WGBH, which was really fun. We had a dozen people who were left with 3 different flavors of truffles that they made, and that was really fun. And I did an event recently in Andover for a group that gets together once a year. It's a big group of like 50 people, and they had me lead them through a tasting of 4 different chocolates and talk about chocolates. So the events really vary, and that's actually what I enjoy about them. I meet a lot of different people. I go to a lot of different places, and I did a lot of them virtually. Not the classes, but I did a lot of tasting events virtually for GBH, actually. was one of the people who did it, one of the groups who did it. But for others, where I sent them different chocolate bars, and then we did it on Zoom, and that was really successful. Some people said they got more attendees than they would get for in-person events, because people could just sit at their house and share the chocolates with their family, and it was relaxing and fun.
Beth, do you continue to create flavors? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
How do you come up with different ideas for flavors?
Yeah.
Is it like Ben and Jerry's?
I think I probably have about 70 different products. I don't offer them all at any one time, but in terms of flavors of the bonbons or truffles, I think I'm making for Christmas about 35 flavors. I think I've made 30 already. Wow. So a lot of it is just, what do I like to eat? Or just something I enjoy. Like, I love cappuccino, and I spent some time just trying to figure out how to make a chocolate that just gave me that feeling of having a cappuccino in chocolate form. Actually, I did the same thing with mojito. I don't drink a lot, but I really love mojitos. So I call the one I made, it's like mojito, in a case of chocolate, because it's just a really, people are surprised. They go, oh my God, that tastes like a mojito. It's a lot of trial and error. I also do look, like, when I try something new, I'm always thinking, would that work in chocolate? So even at like Boston Public Market, there used to be someone there who sold different shrubs, which are a drinking vinegar or something you can use in mocktails and things. And I tasted the ginger one, and I just said, this has to be a chocolate. And so again, it's a bunch of experimenting. And unfortunately, she stopped making the shrubs, but she gave me the recipe for her ginger shrub. So now I make it. I also try to use local products. So, for example, 2 of my new flavors are with tea from MT. And I went over there. Yeah. So there's chai and a rooibos bergamot. So I went over there with some ideas of which teas I thought might work. And I got some sample packs of about 4, and I tried those, and 2 were amazing. 1 was good and 1 was not. So making the 2 amazing ones. So those are new this year. When Boston Harbor Distillery opened, I went there. They're in Neponset. I went there and I drank a lot, tried a lot of their liqueurs. And so they had this maple liqueur.
Ooh.
So it's basically their version of a Bailey's Irish Cream. Maple syrup in it, and that was the winner. I made it. I
love Bailey's.
Super creamy. So I'm just always looking for inspirations from things that I encounter or taste, or local businesses, or just flavors that I like.
We are talking with business owners Maureen Barlaro and Beth Kirsch. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, I want to talk a little bit about the importance of supporting small businesses. And Maureen, has it become easier for you to maintain a small business now that there's so much of an effort or attention, I should say, being brought to small businesses?
I absolutely agree that it's important to support small businesses. Even large businesses started out as small businesses, so you can see where your potential lies. For me, I never knew this was coming, and especially as I'm sitting here in my shop, I definitely never saw this part. But I was and still am, but an editor and working in TV production and video production, and that's just where I saw myself. So nobody's more surprised than me that I'm here right now. But it is it's a challenge. It's a fun challenge, but it's work, certainly different than working for somebody else.
We're seeing a lot, particularly in the last several years. I think that there's been a huge uptick in, particularly around the Small Business Saturday marketing campaign, and really supporting. But I want to touch upon something that you just said, and then Beth, you can answer this as well, is that I think one of the misnomers about having a business and running a business is that, you can work whenever you want. You can set your own hours. It's like, no. working more now than I think I ever have in my life. But do you find that? And if you could maybe just talk to an aspiring small business person out there, like what kind of advice would you give them?
What we were saying, both Beth and I earlier, and I think what the importance is for me and what Beth did and what my advice would be for anybody else is you need to educate yourself before you do anything. And it's not only educating yourself about your idea and that product or service, but about a business. So before I did anything about making clothes, the first thing I did was take a small business course. And I will promote CWE, the Center for Women in Enterprise, which is where I ended up taking my 10 weeks to make a business plan class, and having to walk in there just to meet them, to understand more about the class, because I'm thinking, oh man, a business plan, I don't know anything about this. And she said, that's why you need the class. And to admit to people that I want to make nightgowns, I mean, it just sounds so strange to tell people that you want to make gowns, so you have to feel confident about what your idea is, and learn how to talk about it to people. And so taking a business class, I think, would be sort of the first step for somebody. And then again, like what I did and what Beth did, I took all these other classes. I got into a program for first-time clothing designers. It was a accelerator program called Factory 45, and there, and that I learned from many people here listening, or all of you would probably remember the Improper Bostonian magazine, which absolutely loved to read, and just read an article in there about a design, about a new designer, and she had said she was in this accelerator program, and it only comes up once a year. They only a minute. There's a certain amount of people that are accepted, and it's like, if I don't get in, that's it. And I was not somebody who wanted to go back to school and be going to a whole couple of year program and everything. So. And I don't make the clothes myself. I have a manufacturer in New York that does the actual, making of the clothes. So as a business owner, it's like, what is it you want to do? What are you capable of doing? Where is your interest and where is your skill set best suited? And then, whatever you can't do, you get somebody else to do. So, but I think whatever idea, I would have never, it was scary to tell people I want to make nightgowns. So it doesn't matter what your idea is, just do it.
And Beth, what were some of your kind of initial challenges on the business front that, you took your classes, you were getting very educated in the actual craft of making chocolate, but what were some challenges you have that you could, maybe talk to an aspiring business owner out there who, may need some advice about overcoming some challenges?
Initially, when I started, because I was still working, I started very small, and I wasn't really trying to build a big business. I was really just trying to get a website up and get better at making chocolate. So that was all fine. It took some time to just get some of those things in place, but I wasn't like opening a storefront or trying to make a big splash with my opening. I was kind of doing it more organically initially. But then I reached a point where I felt like, okay, I do need help with some things. There's some things, just even based on all my experience of WGBH and all the work that I did there, that I could bring to it, in terms of even production, figuring out my production plan for making chocolates, or I managed a lot of budget. So there are a lot of things that I could do. But there are some things that I felt were, as I got into it more, that I felt were gaps. And that's when I reached out to SCORE, which SCORE, which is basically a volunteer group of retired executives. Service Corps of Retired Executives is what it used to stand for. And they offer free consultation. They were doing it at the public library, and I Googled who the people were, and I made an appointment. And they asked, what do you need the most help with? And I said, well, part of it is marketing, because I like to make the chocolates, but I don't want to have to go about figuring out how I'm going to get customers to buy them. So the SCORE mentor who I met with brought in another mentor who was also fabulous. Both of them were amazing. And she had worked very high positions at, I think, the Aquarium and Museum of Science, and had a lot of experience in marketing. And so we tossed around a whole bunch of ideas. I mean, I wasn't even on Yelp or Google Maps at the time, because I'm thinking, I'm doing this out of my home. Do I want people to come to my home? I'm not going to have a storefront. And they were like, you're an online business. You need to be online, which sounds very simple and obvious. But, I said, okay, I'm at that point where I need to make that leap. And then I met with this mentor, Cindy, again, privately, and I came up with a list of possible marketing things that I could do. And we went through and prioritized them. And when I went in also, I told them, the original thing is really looking for someone who wants to grow a big business and have more employees and have a target amount of growth every year. That wasn't my interest. So I said, I don't want to do strategic management plans. I've done those. I want to be a one-person manageable operation. And, these are the areas where I need the help. And they were super accommodating and really, really helpful. As I consulted them. And then also when I wanted to look into some legal issues or accounting issues, they referred me to other people who could help with those. So it was a really good source of, professionals who had that kind of experience. So I really recommend them they can cater to what your particular interests are, but also they have a foundation in business and all the elements that go into that. I think the challenges for me is really what I love doing is making chocolates. And there's so many other aspects to the business, updating my website and when the printer jams and keeping track of the finances and the accounting. And there's so many other elements, answering all the calls. There's just so many other aspects to the business that are invisible to most people, but are very time consuming and are not about making the chocolate. So I think that's something to consider. What are all those pieces? And like Maureen was saying, which ones do you want to job out and which ones are you going to do yourself? And I job out having the website coding done because I'm not going to learn that. I do some of the photography for my site, but every once in a while, if I need a lot done, I'll get someone professional to do it. So there's a lot to figure out, and it can be overwhelming. I don't set a 5-year plan, but each year I set what are some new things that I want to do with the business and what are some things I want to not do with the business. And then I make adjustments each year.
We're a few days before Christmas or holiday shopping is done. And I know at least for last minute shoppers, and I am one, and I'm horrible at that, but I always wait till last minute. We'll start with you, Beth. Just give us some ideas of what types of things that you're offering that someone can get now before the 25th, or any other holiday that they are celebrating around this time of year. What can they get from you?
I'm making a lot of different things for the holidays. The most popular gift is assorted boxes of chocolates. And, I just brought one to show. It's hard to resist. And I'm making, like I said, probably about 35 different flavors. So people will discover flavors that they didn't know they liked, which is what I found also when I do the tastings. People say, oh, I didn't think I would like this, and that's my favorite one. So it's a good way to try a lot of my different flavors because I don't make them all during the rest of the year. And talk about having different business hours. So during this season, I have breakfast, make chocolate, have a quick lunch, make chocolate, dinner, and then I deal with all the paperwork and packing things up that I have to do. So it's really pretty much 15-hour days for the month of December. I'm also making some holiday gift bars. I have one here. So these are just hand-painted, decorated bars.
Nice.
I have a lot of stocking stuffers. I make a lot of different stocking stuffers. I make little bags of bark. I like mini bags of hot chocolate. I also have these bags of hot chocolate. So basically it's just add whatever kind of milk you like. It could be regular milk, almond milk. And it's made with a Valrhona chocolate from France. And this is made with the beans that grow in Peru. And it's just delicious. It's like a French hot chocolate, just rich and creamy and yummy. So that's a nice gift. And also to what I was speaking to you about earlier, about chocolate can taste so many different ways. I'm going to have a limited number of these. I've sold a lot of them already, but these are, I don't know whether you can see it. It's basically these tasting bars. So there's 30 bars altogether. And one is made with the Peruvian chocolate, one from Madagascar, one from Bolivia, one from Tanzania, and one from the Dominican Republic. So they're fun to just snack on these pieces, but you can also experience how chocolate can taste so different, looks different. They're not all
interesting. I like that.
Yeah, so I've actually sold a lot of those. I'm going to be making more, but those are a nice gift for the chocolate connoisseur or wannabe connoisseur. That's a nice gift.
And Maureen, talk about and we should also mention, and I'll have you do that you actually closed down for, at least the Dream House closes down for a little bit. So talk about what kind of things that people can find in Rockport now, or through your I Love My 90 store, and when you're going to be shutting down for the season.
Okay, yes, we're open for business all of December here at our little boutique / gallery here in Rockport, Massachusetts. And it's funny because a lot of people come in and they say that they're here because they Google towns that look like a Christmas Hallmark movie. And this is one of the towns that come up. I mean, it's a really beautiful town. It's very quaint. It's charming. It's on the water. It's got great seafood, great ambiance. So it's really just a magical place to come any time of year. But we do have, lots of great Christmas decorations along the business district here. And so I highly recommend coming here. All kinds of unique shops. In our shop, you will find I Love My 90, of course. One of our special items here. You're talking about Peru for chocolate, but also I have a lot from Peru as well. I have alpaca. These are slippers, super fuzzy, soft, cozy slippers made of alpaca from Peru. Also, there's, Pima cotton is another fabric from Peru that's very soft, eco-friendly. So I have some nightgowns also made of Pima. But kind of what you see behind me is all the tencel. And of course, like this hoodie here is something, anybody would want to live in. It's fleece. It's got, this great hood, an oversized hood that even goes like right over your eyes. So it's not only great for sleeping, but it's great for traveling. So if you're traveling for the holidays, you can wear that on a plane, in a train, on a long car ride. You can also throw it on going outside to walk the dog, or running to get those last minute gifts. So I've got that in like fleece and French terry. And so we'll be open here. The website is always open, and I ship anywhere, so you can always order. And then we will close the shop for New Year's, go on vacation and regroup over the winter when it's just very cold and quiet here in Rockport. And then focus on reopenings in the spring, kind of weekends starting in April, and just extending it as we get closer to summer.
Well, I'm ready for some hot chocolate. And
I know.
I love my nightie and a nap.
Oh my gosh, yeah, so many good things. So obviously thanks to my co-host Kim. Ladies, thank you both for being guests today on the PowerPLAY Show. We will have links to your businesses on our website, and I encourage our listeners to check out dreamhouserockport.com and bethchocolate.com. And give me the one for I Love My Nightie. Is it just ilovemynightie.com?
It is, yes.
It is. Okay. We'll have all that stuff on our website. Thank you so much for being our guest today. And remember, shop small businesses. We are the backbone of everything happening in the communities. And and support some former GBHs really trying to do it in their chapter 3 or 2 or whatever this is.
Well, thank you so much for having us. And I do appreciate your promotion of small businesses because, not all of us really want to do the marketing aspect of it. We just want to create what we love creating.
I'm right there with you, Beth. And I can see some collaborations for sure in our future. Definitely, I can see our brands go hand in hand in many ways. So,
oh yeah, chocolates and nighties. Those are two very sexy things.
Yeah, especially Valentine's Day. You nailed it. But thank you so much, Tonya and Kim, for having us on and really embracing small business and helping to promote. It goes a long way. So thank you.
Remember, you can listen to past episodes of the PowerPLAY Show wherever you subscribe to podcasts, including iHeartRadio, Pandora Podcasts, and Amazon Music. You can also watch our interviews on YouTube. Simply search the Hope Bay Productions Media channel and be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And as always, we air on BroncoEyeRadio.com each Saturday at 5 p.m. So be sure to tune into the PowerPLAY Show on Thursdays for a new episode wherever you subscribe to podcasts or on our YouTube channel at Hope Bay Productions Media channel, or simply visit thepowerplayshow.com.